Hmm. Hey, welcome to our edition of Chad's Beer Podcast Archive Edition. I just finished reviewing Old Speckled Hen here with this week's guest, Simon the Real Ale Guide, or Real Ale Craft Beer as he calls himself these days. He'll always be Real Ale Guide to me. Um, he was like one of my first, really friendly, buddy buddy beer tubers who live far away because he's in Wales, and like at the time I was in Albany, New York, and it is a 5 hour time difference. It's still the same, even though now I'm here in Florida. Anyway, so yeah, I forget how we collabed. I sent him like at least two, I think, beer trades or donations or whatever. And we talk about that in our new podcast, and I'm sure we talked about it in the old podcast too. So yeah, Simon is. I would say he's like the number one beer tuber in the world, at least the biggest English speaking YouTuber, beer tuber, and because he's come up on 80,000 subscribers. I'm still like at 4,000, so that shows you the difference there. Yeah, so Simon Real Ale Guide. If you want to see him in the early days, when he was still like this small, that's what you're about to watch or listen to if you're on the audio podcast. So. Yeah, check out our review of Old Speckled Hen. And I will see you guys. We'll be back next week for a brand new podcast with Simon. So I will see you then. Cheers. Hey, welcome to another episode of Interview with a Craft Beer Enthusiast. Today I'm interviewing Simon from The Real Ale Guide. Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
First things first is what made you want to get on YouTube?
I had a book bought for me just at Christmas. The Real Ale Pub Guide, it was called. I read through the book. It had most of the pubs in the UK and the breweries. Very, very interesting book. All their beers I'm reading. And so I went out and bought a bottle of Hen's Tooth. Brought it home, cracked it open, had a drink of it. And I thought, I wonder if there's anything on the internet, like on YouTube or something about it. So I YouTubed Hen's Tooth, and up came a video of JJ Davin reviewing, or I think it's Joe D's beer reviews. He was reviewing the Hen's Tooth. So I then checked to see if there was anybody doing it in the UK, and at the time I couldn't see anybody. So I thought, let's give this a go. So I sat in front of the computer, opened up an account with YouTube. I had my book with me, and I thought, took the pub out of it and just called it Real Ale Guide, and lo and behold, it was there. The name was there, so I went with it.
Yeah, so what's like your history with beer? I know the different cultures in between our countries. What's the drinking age there? Like 17?
18.
18?
Drinking age is 18.
So what's your history with beer? Like, did you start drinking fizzy yellow beer and then move on to good beer, or did you just start with good beer?
My family have always been traditional ale drinkers. The trouble is, when I was growing up in Wales, in the UK, in England as well, it's always been perceived as an old man's drink, an ale.
Right.
And my grandfather drank ale, my dad drank ale, and when I was about 13 or 14, maybe even a little bit younger, I'd go to a family party and they would slowly introduce me to, say, a 3% ale, quite light and weak, maybe put a dash of lemonade in. So I've been drinking since the age of 14 with my family. But I've always been, it quite, especially as I get older, it angers me that so many people in the UK drink so much of that fizzy yellow mass-produced slop. It drives me up the wall. In all honesty, it drives me up the wall.
Yeah. So it sounds like you just started out with good beer. Would you say that you're as enthusiastic, or a little, or a lot more enthusiastic about beer than the average man where you live?
I'm crazy about beer, absolutely crazy about beer, and in the last 6 weeks, it's got a whole lot worse. Since I've been drinking the American style IPA,
Yeah.
it's probably in my beers in my mind. I'd say 50% of the day, half the day I'm thinking beers and styles and what beer I want to review next and how I can improve. Um, and I love beer. I talk about it with my family all the time, but there are certain members of my family that just drink the yellow mass produced. I wouldn't wash my windows with most mass produced lagers, but a lot of my family drink lagers now. The younger part of the family do, and they really wonder what I'm doing. I have a lot of comments like, "Why are you drinking this black tar in a glass?" And
Yeah.
it's quite hard to answer it because you could spend half an hour answering the question and they're not really listening. That's the trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said like people leave comments on your videos like, "How can you drink that black sludge or whatever?"
Yeah.
Like, do you get that in real life? Like, what do you say when people like how do you proselytize the gospel of good beer to people? How do you tell them, hey, that fizzy yellow stuff is garbage, try this? Like, how do you go about doing that?
If I'm standing at a bar, I'm quite I wouldn't say arrogant. I'm not an arrogant man, but I'm quite bullshit. I'm quite um I'll speak my mind. If recently I went down to Weatherspoons, which is a massive. It's like a supermarket chain for pubs. It's like a pub, but there's beer pubs everywhere. They're called Weatherspoons, and they done a craft beer real ale festival. It covered the whole month of November. And if somebody's standing at the bar, they're drinking an ale, I'll go up and talk to them. Complete stranger, I'll go up and I'll start talking to them about the ale they're drinking, and sometimes they'll look at me strange, completely strange. But they had a pint of the Boston Beer Company's Blonde Ambition, which was very good. And I'll turn to my right then, say that person was on my left, I was talking. Somebody on my right is drinking a fizzy yellow lager.
Right.
I'm not afraid to say, try this beer. This beer is absolutely fantastic. Or it's 9 times out of 10 as well. They're about £1.80 a pint, whereas the fizzy yellow lagers are nearly £3.
Yeah.
And there's just no quality to them. There's no life. There's no character. I'm so passionate about it that I want to stand up on a table in the pub and shout at the top of my voice. It's nearly half the price. These ales which are crafted, that they've spent so much time on them. They're nearly half the price of your fizzy yellow lager. So yeah, I'm not afraid to tell people in pubs and my family and friends that get off the rubbish.
So when you're actually doing your beer reviews, like how would you describe how you like your grading or rating process? Like how much emphasis do you place on aroma, appearance, taste, drinkability, all that stuff? Like how do you break it down in your head?
I The main thing for me is I like the smell of a beer. I do like the aroma. As long as the aroma is kind of close to the taste of the beer, I always find that a good quality. Sometimes you can smell a beer and then go ahead and taste it, but it's completely different. That's not always a good sign to me. I like the body of a beer, preferably thicker. Sometimes you can get a real thin beer, which you know more or less straight away is not going to have too many flavors in. As long as all of them components come together, then I'll give it a high rating. But if, like I say, if the aroma is different from the taste, and say that it's meant to be carbonated and it goes very flat, then I'll rate it on that all of them different bases, and how it's feeling in my belly as well. That always comes into it, because I do like there's nothing like the feeling of the alcohol warming in your stomach. I absolutely love that.
I noticed you use like a 1 to 10 system like I do. Some people, they do like A through F. or even some people rate like 1 to 100.
Do they?
What what does it take for? Well, first of all, what was your reason behind doing 1 to 10, and second of all, what does it take for a beer to get a 10 out of 10 for you?
I After one sip, first of all, the rating system. I think um, I started watching beer reviews on YouTube, and one of them would just give like a two finger up or a two thumb up, or
Right.
I prefer
Be more
to give
specific.
it much more of a scaled down option with my fingers. I mean, it's always great to put your hands up and show people
Yeah.
like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Sometimes like I think I gave the Sierra Nevada Torpedo a 10 out of 10.
Right.
The aroma, the smell, the way the beer looked in the glass, the head, and as soon as I tasted it, I knew 5 minutes before I rated it, I was going to give that beer a 10. Right from the beginning of the review, kind of knew.
Mm-hmm.
I more or less go on gut instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of how what we were saying before is when the naysayers have their fizzy yellow beer and they think that that is a genuinely good beer, but you said like you can take like an imperial stout or American IPA and say this is so much better. Now, are you of the mindset that it's like a matter of truth that it is better, like in the general universal conscious, or is it every person has their own personal like grading scale? Like what's good to you is bad to somebody else, or is it a matter of no, this actually is good?
I think definitely this is good. This yellow fizzy water, it has to. That I've got to mention it before I go. That the biggest thing that annoys me is the television adverts. The way they try and sway you to buy it.
Right.
They sell so much of the beer that they're able to spend so much on advertising. And say in America they turn 21, they watch an advert on the telly. 9 times out of 10, it's a fizzy yellow lager. They're going to go out and buy it.
Right.
There's no real, in this country anyway, there's no real adverts for a craft beer, which I think is a shame. But going back to it, I think if I get to give a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, generally I think 9 out of 10 people would enjoy it
Oh, really?
if they tried it and opened their mind to it.
I would agree with that in theory, but even like this is a for this area, this is that pretty lower class beer, especially among beer geeks like me.
All right.
Like my dad would like this, but if I went to the college down the street, they'd be like, hell no, I want Keystone Light or Coors Light or something like
Yeah.
that. That's too much flavor for them, or it's too heavy of a beer. Um, I mean, kind of disagreeing with you here, because a lot of beers that I would give a 10 to, the average person would not. They wouldn't be able to get past one sip. They'd be like, that tastes like soy sauce or something.
I see. Yes, yeah. Now you're saying that. Um, I've got members of my family which they do. I do always take craft beer to a family. I'm a very family oriented person, and I do always take beer to a family party. I've got members of my family which will try it and they will say, "What? That's dreadful. That is absolutely dreadful. What are you drinking that for?" And I think if they just gave it more of a chance, what's the old saying in life? It's like Brussels sprouts. If you ate Brussels sprouts 12 times over 12 days, your taste buds would get used to it and you'd enjoy it.
Right.
It's just a case of getting past them 12 sips.
Yeah, it's
over 12
developing
days.
your palate.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Have you ever been to the United States or even other countries in Europe?
I have. I haven't been to the States. I would love to go to the States. Your beer culture. Before I reviewed beer, I have to be honest. I only ever seen Budweiser and Coors, and was it Miller? Is Miller still about?
Yep. Well, Miller and Coors merged,
Oh right, okay, okay.
and
So
Molson.
Molson, yeah.
They're Canadian.
I don't ever heard of them beers, but since I've been reviewing beers over the last year and watching all the different beer reviews, review American beer, I really think that it's overtaken the rest of the world in beer. I watched one yesterday where they were actually mixing different types of beer, like they would wine, and I think the frontier for beer now is in America. I think the whole of the world needs to look to America to their beers and their style of beers. I think we really need to catch up because up until now, I think there's only two American style IPAs in America in British supermarkets, and there needs to be more because I'm sure the IPA market in the UK could be huge,
Yeah.
absolutely huge.
But I mean, when I think of an English beer drinker, I'm thinking of the like you said, Old Speckled Hen and Fuller's. You know, like
Yeah,
compared to American IPAs, those are actually pretty mild beers. I would imagine that if you gave the Ithaca Flower Power to an average English beer drinker, who does appreciate the real ale over the fizzy yellow beer, even the IPA, don't you think that would blow his mind? Like, I can't. This is too strong for me.
I got to be honest. I the first drink I had was the Punk IPA by Brewdog, and it completely knocked my socks off. I thought I drunk most different styles of beers, and drinking that was fantastic. And I don't think I'll ever be able to go back. I mean, I really do still like real ales, speckled ends and stuff. But if I was to go in a bar and I seen an IPA and a real ale together,
Yeah,
I'd go for the IPA 9 times out of 10.
yeah. But
So I think on that question, I think the average beer drinker in the UK, if they were to try it, I'm sure they would like it. I'm absolutely sure.
huh. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. Do you have any upcoming special projects or anything in the works, or just what's your plan? What's your long range plan for YouTube
My
and
long term
goals?
plan for YouTube, my goal would be to review a lot of the American IPAs. How I'm going to get my hands on them, I don't know. I really like to try. When I watch a beer review, I'd love to go out and try it. It's getting hold of it, but other than that, if I can't, then I'm just going to review the English style stout, bitters, European drinks, whatever I can get my hands on. I have got one or two projects in the pipeline. I've got to wait a couple of months before I can really let it out. But I'm sure I'd love to do an interview with you again, Chad, and release it on your channel if I
Yeah.
could, if I could. Um, but that's it. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for the interview. Really appreciate it.
I have a request actually.
Okay.
Um, I'd love to see you get some guest reviewers on your show. Get some of your buddies over. See what they think.
Do you know what I was thinking of doing? Because I don't think anybody's done it. I was thinking of getting a yellow fizzy lager drinking in,
Yeah.
and actually just off the street, inviting him into my house.
I'm sure your wife
Invite
would love that.
and just opening a bottle and saying, "Try this," and just to get their first initial reaction, preferably with an American style IPA. That would be quite exciting, I think, to do.
I think they would go like this.
Back to the Carlin.
Yeah. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for the interview with Simon of Real Ale Guide. Go ahead and plug your YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
Thank you very much. It's I got a website which is www.therealaleguide.com. There's not really that much going on, but I might be able to put some things on there in the future. Twitter is Real Ale Today. You can email me realaleguide@googlemail.com. And last but not least, check out my channel, Real Ale Guide on YouTube. Leave your comments. I love answering. I probably answered to 99% of all the comments on there. But thanks very much. Thanks for the interview, Chad. Chad's a good friend. Chad is a good friend of mine. He sent me a load of beer, and this is my way of saying thank you to him, is to do a live thank you. Cheers, Chad.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And Merry Christmas.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Or Happy Christmas, as you would say, right?
Happy Christmas.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, welcome to the episode of Interview with the Craft Beer Enthusiast. This is a re-interview of sorts with Simon of Real Ale Guide here on YouTube. How you doing, Simon?
How you doing, Chad? Nice to meet you again on YouTube.
Yep. Between last year and this year, or just over the last 2 years, how have you grown? How have you learned? How have you progressed as a beer reviewer? You know.
I think there's just 3 letters really that sums it all up, and those 3 letters are IPA. It really is. It really is. It's been just a big eye opener. If you asked me 2 years ago to open up a channel on YouTube called The Real Ale Guide, I'd say, or today, if you asked me today to open up a channel called The Real Ale Guide, I'd say, I'm sorry, it's the wrong name. It's the wrong name. But I call myself craft beer reviewer or something along them lines, because of the fact that I've really come to grow into craft beer rather than just real ale.
Yeah. You've had a pretty busy 2011. How many brewery tours have you been on this year, and how many beer fests have you gone to?
I think the first year was just solely reviewing on YouTube. It was 2010 was just concentrated on trying to get people to watch the show, and then 2011 I was lucky enough to get a contact in with Wells and Youngs, who got me at the brewery in February, and it kind of rolled from there. I think I've done 6 brewery tours, and I've been invited to 4 events. Yeah, 4 events, which judging at the Camera Great British Beer and Cider Festival in Wales, and in Ludlow in May for SEBA, which is another big organisation. It's been like you say, it's been a big year. It's been a big year.
What media stuff have you done in the last year or so?
I'm actually in talks with BBC Radio Wales again to do another radio show with them. It's part of their technology show, which will be about a 15-minute interview, where we actually get a YouTube partner from America live on the radio, where he talks about making a full-time living out of YouTube by being a partner.
Yeah.
And he's basically going to come on, and because I've just been made, I think I'm the first partner in Wales.
Wow.
To be taken on. So he's going to give me some advice on how to further my channel and how to really engage with my followers as best as I can and make the channel grow. So that's going to be the next show on BBC Radio Wales.
Wow.
But other than that, it's just my local newspaper and the national newspaper of Wales, the South Wales Echo.
Yeah.
Where we just get together every now and again and we talk beer, and because it's so exciting at the moment. Yeah. With beer. It's evolving all the time. It's evolving. It's great.
You've gotten so much free beer.
Yeah,
you told
absolutely.
me. You told me like you got. I mean, you can't show it all on camera now, but just how much free beer do you have sitting around there?
If I was to do a beer review every day, 7 days a week, there'd be enough beer to do probably 5 months worth of YouTube videos. Wow. Right now. Yeah, there's quite a lot. It comes in. I think I have 4 deliveries a week, and I actually know the postman now who delivers. We actually, no, not more beer, he says, not more beer, and it comes 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, they must handle your packages, extra carefully now. They know what's in it.
Apart from a Roquefort 10,
Yeah.
which was completely broken.
Oh yeah. You have Chris on once in a while. Any
Yeah,
other friends you might bring on as guest reviewers?
I'm really trying to get my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is a big Carling Black Label fan. He likes Carlsberg. Um, Whenever I show him a craft beer or try him on a craft beer, he never understands it. But I'd love to get him on the show
Yeah.
and to do, because I think as soon as that camera goes live and you know you're going to be watched by a certain amount of people, I think his mind would be focused on the beer completely,
Yeah.
and I think he would enjoy it.
What was your reaction when your wife finally started doing beer reviews?
Oh, I was over the moon. Over the moon. I was really happy. Not so much happy these days, mine, because whenever she posts a beer which we've done together, she seems to go ahead of me because I can see her excitement with trying different beer styles.
Yeah. Now,
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
so you've went on a lot of brewery tours. You went to a lot of beer festivals. Is there any one tour or fest that stands out in your mind of like that was the funnest one?
In one sense, it was great to meet a fellow beer reviewer on YouTube in Hop Scene. It was great to meet him in Huddersfield. Had a
Right.
great time on Magic Rock. And it was very different from the rest of the beer brewery tours, because the rest of them had marketing people that showed us round
Right.
and showed us the brewery and the pubs, and it was very much, you ask them a question about something completely different about their company, and they would revert it straight back around to the company. Say Shepherd Neame, you talk about another brewery, and they would somehow, with their marketing skills, turn it right back around to Shepherd Neame or Wells and Youngs. It was very much turned back
Right.
to Wells and Youngs and Shepherd Neame. But with Magic Rock, they were very pleased to talk about great beers from other breweries, and we actually, to demonstrate that, we actually reviewed a Left Hand Fade to Black.
Right.
Myself and the head brewer of Magic Rock did a Left Hand Fade to Black. So that was a difference. It was, he was more open to world beer and amazing beers, and
Yeah.
not just Shepherd Neame or Wells and Youngs makes beers, we're only happy with what we make type of thing. It was more of an open horizon for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you thought about home brewing yet? Because you actually, helped make a ginger porter at Shepherd Neame. And so now that, like, I mean, obviously you didn't go to brewer school, but you still got like, way more between all the different brewery tours and everything, meeting brewers. You probably definitely know more about what goes on inside the brewing and have, like, more knowledge about the chemistry behind it than the average guy at the pub. So have you thought about going into home brewing or, like, applying for a job at a brewery? You could do it with your eyes closed by now, I bet.
Yeah, I'd like to do a bit of home brewing. Absolutely, I'd like to get one of those small mash tuns
Right.
and get it sparging round, and I think I spoke to one of the other. I think I spoke to Ryan Reshkan about it, and he was saying how good it would be for you to get a small mash tun and get the sparging process going and get brewing.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to do that, and then moving on, maybe get it bottled and maybe start a little brewery of my own. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so you actually got to do what a lot of people dream of. You got to help make a beer, like, named after you, the Ginger Porter with Shepherd Neame.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever follow up with, like, go to a bar where it was being served and be like, hey, I made that?
Unfortunately, I didn't know. It was mainly sold in Kent and London,
Right?
which is about a 2.5 hour train journey from me, and the train prices are extortionate. It's about £150 to go back and forth,
Wow.
just on a 2 hour train ride. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to try it, but they did send me a 36 pint keg full of the beer myself, which was good. I enjoyed it. The whole family tried it.
Yeah.
Everybody was very, very proud of what I'd achieved, and they never thought it in a million years. Yeah.
So has that been your single greatest like achievement or something you're most proud of so far from from being a beer tuber, or is there anything that you like even better than that?
I've just been invited to the British Guild of Beer Writers 2011, and that tops everything. Really, that really does top everything. That's a big event where everybody wears a tuxedo, and there's a lot of British celebrities going, and Molson Coors are taking a few celebrities. Wells and Youngs are, and Brains have asked myself, to be one of their celebrities, and for me, that is so. I just can't believe that I'm being put in that category.
Wow.
Of being of I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that I'm going to be going to this dinner.
Well, make sure you bring a camera because I'm sure everybody out there would love to see the behind the scenes on that one.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for the interview with Simon for 2011. Although he's no stranger to Chad's beer reviews, so
yeah, absolutely.
Be sure to. I'll put all the links to your channels and Facebook, Twitter below. And,
thank you.
Yep. And cheers.
Cheers, Chad. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.